The Dawnbreaker sliced through the inky void of space, its engines humming with restrained power as it hurtled towards the coordinates marking the outer edges of the Agranus Septum system. The journey had been relatively uneventful thus far, but Arra knew better than to let her guard down. The galaxy was a treacherous place, rife with dangers lurking in the shadows between stars. "Lieutenant, we're approaching the Heathian drift." Zara's voice crackled over the comm system. Long-range scans are picking up a patrol craft, running silent but heavily armed. Arra felt the hairs on the back of her neck prickle with apprehension. The Heathian drift was a lawless expanse of space, a no-man's land where allegiances shifted like the tides, and even the most innocuous of ships could find themselves in the crosshairs of hostile forces. "Take us to silent running," she ordered, her voice calm but laced with a steely edge. "Mask our signatures and prepare for evasive maneuvers." Around her, the team sprang into action, their movements precise and practiced. Zara's fingers danced across the control panels, cloaking the Dawnbreaker's energy signatures and rendering them virtually invisible to all but the most sophisticated of scanners. Jax and Kel checked their weapons one last time, their expressions grim with determination. For long, tense moments, the Dawnbreaker slipped through the void, its cloaking systems humming with barely restrained energy. Then, without warning, a proximity alarm blared, shattering the silence. "They've got a lock on us," Zara shouted, her voice strained. "Incoming fire." The Dawnbreaker shuddered as the first salvo of energy blasts impacted against its shields, the ship's inertial dampeners struggling to compensate for the violent evasive maneuvers Arra had initiated. Through the viewports, Arra caught a glimpse of their attackers, a sleek, heavily armed patrol craft bearing the unmistakable markings of the Herbert Syndicate, one of the most ruthless and opportunistic mercenary groups operating in the Outer Rim. "Zara, get me a channel," she barked, gripping the arms of her seat as the Dawnbreaker banked hard to starboard, narrowly avoiding another barrage of fire. "Channel open, Lieutenant." "Herbert Patrol, this is Lieutenant Arra Vidan of the Orion military," she announced, her voice carrying the weight of command. "We are on a sanctioned mission and mean you no harm. Break off your attack and allow us safe passage." For a moment, the only response was the stuttering roar of the Dawnbreaker's engines and the occasional impact of enemy fire against their shields. Then, a gruff voice crackled over the comm. "Orion military, my ass," the Herbert captain snarled. "We've been tracking your little cloaked ship for cycles now. You're either smugglers or hired guns, and we don't take kindly to either in our territory." Arra cursed under her breath, realizing that their unsanctioned status had left them vulnerable to such misunderstandings. She knew that attempting to explain the truth of their mission would only invite further scrutiny and potentially fatal consequences. "Marcus, get on the gun," she ordered, her voice low but laced with urgency. "We're going to have to fight our way out of this." The grizzled veteran didn't need to be told twice. With a grim nod, he lumbered towards the Dawnbreaker's weapon systems, his movements betraying a lifetime of experience in the heat of battle. As the first volley of the Dawnbreaker's return fire lanced out, slamming into the Herbert patrol craft's shields, Arra felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was no mere simulation or training exercise. This was the harsh reality of the galaxy's unforgiving expanse, where alliances shifted like the sands, and the only constants were the bonds forged between comrades in arms. "Keep it tight, people," she shouted over the cacophony of weapons fire and the Dawnbreaker's groaning hull. "We're not dying out here, not when we're so close." The battle raged on, a deadly dance of evasive maneuvers and precision strikes as the two ships wove through the void, trading volleys of searing energy and ballistic projectiles. Through it all, Arra maintained her composure, barking orders and adjusting their tactics on the fly, her mind a whirlwind of calculations and contingencies. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Herbert patrol craft's shields flickered and died, its hull buckling under the relentless barrage from the Dawnbreaker's weapons. "They're crippled," Lieutenant Marcus growled, his voice tinged with satisfaction. "Should we finish them off?" Arra shook her head, her expression resolute. "No, we've made our point. Let's just get the hell out of here before they call for reinforcements." As the Dawnbreaker banked hard, streaking away from the disabled Herbert ship, Arra allowed herself a moment of respite, her heart still pounding in her chest. The encounter had been a harsh reminder of the perils that awaited them in the lawless reaches of space, where even the smallest of skirmishes could spell disaster. But they had prevailed, their bonds of loyalty and trust forged anew in the crucible of battle, and as Agranus Septim loomed ever closer on the Dawnbreaker's navigational charts, Arra knew that they would need that unity more than ever. For the true test of their resolve still lay ahead, amidst the chaos and carnage that had claimed so many lives on that war-torn world. As the Dawnbreaker hurtled through the inky void, the distant image of Agranus Septim growing larger and more foreboding with every passing hour, Arra knew it was time to convene her team and lay out their strategy. The stakes were high, and their mission would require a level of precision and forethought that would test even the most seasoned of soldiers. Gathered around the holographic projector table in the Dawnbreaker's war room, the team studied the three-dimensional rendering of their target, a sprawling mining facility nestled deep within the rugged, storm-lashed mountains of Agranus Septim's northern continent. The installation was a veritable fortress, bristling with anti-aircraft batteries and heavily fortified bunkers, a testament to the value of the rare minerals that lay beneath the planet's surface. "Our objective is twofold," Arra began, her voice carrying the weight of command as she gestured towards the holographic display. "First and foremost, we need to locate and extract Jack, Nara, and Tiev from wherever they're being held within this facility." A series of nods rippled through the assembled team, their expressions grim with determination. "Secondly," Arra continued, "we need to gather any intelligence we can on the various factions vying for control of the mining operations. If we're going to have any hope of getting our people out safely, we need to know who we're up against and what their motivations are." Marcus, the grizzled veteran, let out a low rumble of assent. "The situation on Agranus Septim is a powder keg, Lieutenant. The Malaxians, the Kedron Horde, the Free Miners Collective, they're all mixed up in this mess, and none of them are going to take kindly to us sticking our noses where they don't belong. Which is why we're going to have to operate with the utmost stealth and precision," Arra replied, her gaze sweeping over the assembled team. "This is hostile territory, and we can't afford to be spotted or engaged until we've achieved our objectives." Rafe, the infiltration specialist, leaned forward, his sharp eyes studying the holographic renderings of the facility's layout. "It won't be easy, Lieutenant. The terrain around the facility is treacherous, with frequent ion storms and jagged rock formations that'll play havoc with our sensors and navigation systems." Arra nodded, her expression grim. "I know, Rafe, but we've faced worse odds before, and we'll adapt our tactics accordingly. Zara, I want you to work on developing countermeasures for those ion storms. We can't afford to be flying blind when we make our approach." The tech specialist gave a curt nod, her fingers already dancing across her datapad as she began running simulations and calculations. For hours, the strategy session continued, with each member of the team contributing their expertise and insights. Contingencies were planned, escape routes mapped, and a myriad of scenarios war-gamed until every possible outcome had been accounted for. Finally, as the holographic display flickered and dimmed, Arra stepped back, her gaze sweeping over her assembled comrades. "We all know the risks," she said, her voice low but laced with conviction. "This is going to be one of the most challenging missions any of us have ever undertaken. But we're doing this for Jack, Nara, and Tiev." A chorus of nods and murmurs of assent met her words, each member of the team steeling themselves for the trials that lay ahead. "Then let's get to work," Arra said, a determined smile playing across her lips. "We've got some friends to bring home." As the team dispersed to attend to their final preparations, Arra felt a sense of purpose burning within her. The road ahead would be fraught with peril, but she had faith in her comrades, in their unwavering loyalty and the bonds that had been forged in the crucible of countless battles. On Agranus Septim, they would face their greatest test yet, but Arra knew that they were ready. They were Orion soldiers, warriors of the highest caliber, and they would not falter in their quest. I hope you enjoyed the story so far. It's just part of a much longer and grander story. Please be sure to subscribe and drop a like too. The next part of the story will be in the top left once it's out.